Hey there, welcome to the Agents of Revival podcast. If you're ready to be healed and take full accountability of your life by evolving into your best self, then this is the podcast for you. I am your host, Andrea Griffin Rogers, and I'll share with you winning steps as well as personal tips and anecdotes on how to go from brokenness to wholeness and from scattered pieces to inner peace. So come on in and join me on this healing journey, and let's become whole together. Enjoy it! Hey, what's up, guys? How are you today? I pray all is well. This message stirs your faith, falls on good ground, produces what? Good fruits in your lives. Kudos to those that got it right. Today, we are closer than you think to the end of the road for season 5. Did you enjoy it? I know I did. I enjoyed my time with you guys. I enjoy putting these messages together, and I really do believe that they will be beneficial and helpful for somebody out there. Today, we're talking about Jigsaw puzzle faith. Yeah. And I remember, I think it was last season, in season 4, I kept talking about jigsaw puzzles. And I was thinking I was going to do a whole entire series on jigsaw puzzles and how it pertains to faith. And then it never happened because we wind up staying in the Kingdom Ambassador series the entire time because that's what God wanted. And so then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it for season 5. And then God said, no, you're going to do this instead. So didn't get that done either. And I was like, well, when am I going to teach on a jigsaw puzzle? Because when I tell y'all, baby, the jigsaw puzzle been blessing me, and I don't even have one. I mean, that's the thing. You would think I have one, and that's why I've been so fascinated by jigsaw puzzles. I don't. But the games that I do have on my phone, which are not that much anymore, they'll have advertising on there, and so I'll constantly see the same wood puzzle piece game thing. And I'm just always looking at how they put things together. And it just makes me think about faith. Like, you'll see it, and no matter how much on this particular game, no matter how much they try to push the shapes together to make it work, it doesn't work. And you know, for anybody looking at it, it's like you see what the final product's supposed to look like, but no matter what pieces they put together, it doesn't work. And I know that they simulate it that way for a reason, to make you frustrated to say, you know what, let me download this so I can show them the right way to do it. Maybe that's just me, but I don't download it. I just, I just check it out when I'm waiting for the ad to go off. But one thing that inspired me about a jigsaw puzzle is, and I've used this example before, if you have been an avid listener and follower of the podcast, first of all, thank you for your support. Man, you are so loved. I appreciate you. Mwah! That's me blowing you a kiss. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad and happy that you decided to be intentional about your healing journey, because that's why you're here. You want a better life. You want a better quality of life. You want to live a balanced life, and that includes your healing too. And so I'm so proud of your journey. But with the jigsaw puzzle, it makes me think about old school. I say old school. I think they might still be out. When I was growing up, my great grandmother used to always have a different jigsaw puzzle boxes for the grandkids to play with and the great grands to play with. And we'll, empty out the box, and it'd be like 1,000 pieces. Like, child, bye. Who want to put all this together? But, back then we didn't have the technology that, the newer generation has. So, I mean, computers was only something that was really in computer class. And maybe if you were privileged enough to be able to afford a home computer, then you had a home computer. But even then, it was like for term papers, and that's it. They didn't really have many games out back then. And I'm not even that old, so that just goes to show how much and how fast or quickly that technology has advanced. And so we would have jigsaw puzzles to play with, among other things. And so you'll just, see the box and the outside of the box, and you decide which puzzle you want to, put together. And the picture on the outside of the box looks so pretty. And it looks like it's simple enough. Like, okay, just put these little wooden pieces together. It's going to work. And then you open the box. And there's no instructions. Like, I have, maybe it's the ones my great grandmother had. But we ain't seen no instructions in the box. So it's just about trying to figure out how to put it together based on the picture. And we study putting pieces together. And you would think a piece goes somewhere, and then you put that section together and you seem to make that work, and then realize, no, that piece isn't really fitting down in that position properly. Oh man, it's not the right piece. And so long story short, sometimes you give up in the process because you're like, it's taking too long to put together these 1,000 pieces of this puzzle. And it's just too much work, and I just don't got time for that. And then there's others that are very meticulous, and they will sit there and they will take their time, even if they have to come back to it a day or two later, but they will take their time to put it together so that they can have a finished product. And anybody that has ever put together a jigsaw puzzle will tell you, don't mess with the product when it's done. Okay? Don't, I know it's taking up the whole dining room table. Eat somewhere else, okay? You better eat on your lap because it done took me too long to put this together for you to just quickly, take the pieces apart and put it in the box. No, we need to admire this for a minute, okay? And that's kind of how our life is. That's kind of even our faith is. It takes faith to believe in something you've never seen done before. And this is, what we have to have if you have a goal or aspiration that you're trying to achieve. If you have a clear vision for where you want to go and how you want your life to be, it's going to require you to assemble it. Now, unlike the jigsaw puzzle boxes that my great grandmother had, the beauty of the way God has our lives is that we can just go to him and find out the instructions. He has a whole entire instruction manual, called the Bible, that gives us tips and strategies, if you know how to read it accurately, to extrapolate the wisdom from it and be able to apply the principles to your life. But other times, even if you're struggling with reading and struggling to figure out, okay, how does this add up to what God is telling me to do, then you could ask the Holy Spirit for wisdom and he'll give it to you. He's done it for me. He's done it for King Solomon. Just ask God for wisdom and he'll give it to you. Ask him for strategy and he'll give it to you. And so, when it comes to anything we're trying to build, even our faith, God may give us the big picture and we're like, ooh, that look good. Oh, that's so exciting. Oh, I can't wait. Bet I'm going to look like this and I'm going to be like this and I'm going to own this and I'm going to do this and da-da-da-da-da. And so you're really, really excited, but you have no idea what it takes to assemble that because you ain't opened the box yet. But it's when you open the box and you decide, okay, now I'm going to roll my sleeves up and get to work, that you realize, man, this is taking a long time. And hear me. Don't give up in the process. Yeah, it's going to take some time. Yeah, it's going to feel like, you know what? Let's just throw this in a towel and give up. But I promise you, and I think I speak on behalf of every puzzler out there who has ever put together a jigsaw puzzle, it's worth it. It is weird, but it's a weird satisfaction that you get when it's finally done and completed and it looks like the box. And that's because you put forth the effort. I've heard it said before of if you give a man a fish, you'll have to feed him forever. But if you teach a man how to fish, he'll always be able to get his own meal or something like that. I might mess it up a little bit. But the gist of it is that we are more prone to revel, marvel, enjoy the final product of something that we took time and effort in making it happen, and then we see that it actually happened, it actually manifested. It was worth it. It was worth it. I remember, speaking of fish, I was teaching somebody how to cook one day, and this person was somebody who didn't really like a lot of stuff. Like, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't want this, I don't want that. Okay, fine. So instead of just always making them something to eat and presenting it on a plate and saying, okay, we're here. What about this? Like, this is a restaurant. I said, okay, well, if you want something to eat, I'll teach you how to cook. And so at first they kind of thought about it and they was like, you know what? All right, fine, cool. I should learn how to cook. So I said, okay. So had a little quick cooking lesson, showed them what to do, showed them how to do it. They took the time. They got even into the groove of cooking. They were so happy. And when they finished, now, though there were some technical, errors like we see on the cooking shows with amateurs, but for the most part, they did a good job. And when they finished, now I am not advocating this for anybody, but this particular situation, I just got to tell it. When they finished, one of the things they were cooking was fish. And a piece of the fish fell on the floor. And they were like, oh no, like real quick, picked it up because they didn't realize the way they were holding the plate. So like basically the plate almost fell on the floor. They managed to catch everything else, but the fish fell on the floor. And they were like, oh no, I'm gonna eat this. It took me too much work to put this together to cook. I'm gonna eat this. And they sure enough did. They ate it. And you know what the lesson was? They learned the work it took to prepare their food. See, when it's somebody else preparing it, they just, eat what they want, throw the rest away, do whatever they want to do, send it back, whatever. But now that they had to learn how to cook it for themselves and then cook it for themselves, they realized, oh no, anybody just throw this away. I done put too much effort in this thing. And we have to be willing to have that same grit and determination. Now, not everything requires us to have that same tenacity and that same patience. Because, of course, when we think about relationships, or as I talk about in this series, the right team, there are some people where it doesn't matter how much assembling and how much patience and how much work you've put into them. They're just not fit for the team. And that's okay. You don't got to talk about them. You don't got to, scold them. You don't have to ridicule them. You don't have to say they're a bad person. You just have to make the decision to part ways. You have to make a decision that where God is taking you, or basically what the puzzle looks like on the outside, the beautiful picture that you want to see in your life, that's a piece that's not for that puzzle. And sometimes that happens, especially at Nana's house, which we would call my great grandmother Nana. Sometimes at Nana's house, especially if she was rushing, putting stuff away, because it's a lot of grandkids. I'll just say that. It's a lot of us. So a lot of grandkids, a lot of great grands. And, well, actually, let me take that back. A few great grands, but a lot of grands. A lot of grandchildren. I can't even try to count right now. It definitely over 10. So just to give you an idea. But by the time she would be finished putting all that stuff up, like whatever we left out that we didn't put up ourselves, she just would just throw pieces of the puzzles in whatever box. Now, she would do her best to try to put, the right pieces in the right box. But sometimes a piece would get in that box that don't belong in there. And if you are not cautious and patient enough in the way you're developing the puzzle, when it's time for you to put it together, you'll take a piece that does not belong there and put it there and think it fits or think it works when it doesn't. Even if the shape fits, the piece will still stand out because it's not made for that picture. And so there are some people in your life that are just not made for that picture. And that's okay. You have to be willing to cut ties and allow God to lead them on their separate journey to put together their own puzzle, or to connect with the right puzzle pieces that they're meant to connect with. It just may not be you. I think about the story of Joseph. Joseph had to go on a journey by himself. Now, granted, it came at the cost, sadly, and really just cruelly, by his brother selling him into slavery after throwing him into a pit, where they wanted him to rot and die. So they treated him really badly. But prior to that, Joseph had a picture of the puzzle box. He had a picture of the bright, beautiful vision of where God was taking him, of what was going to happen to him in his lifetime, of the victory, the win that was going to occur in his life. But what he was going through didn't look like it. It looked like all the pieces of the puzzle scattered. But as he journeyed on, through slavery, even through imprisonment, sexual molestation, all these things, as he, or assault, I'll say sexual assault, as he went through all these different tragedies and trials, even betrayal and rejection, as he went through all these different things, all those different puzzle pieces were adding up because they were putting together the story. They were putting together the narrative. They were putting together the ladder, if you will, that was going to help him climb to this next level he's meant to be to or be in. And so we can't despise even our past. It may have looked ugly. It may have been tragic. It may have been stinky. You may not have liked it. It sucked. It hurt. I get it. Absolutely. But understand that the way God works and the way faith works is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So he gives us this puzzle image that looks beautiful on the outside, but he doesn't tell you how many pieces it takes to put it together before you get to that goal. But your job is to not quit. Don't quit while you're ahead. And you may say, well, I just opened the box, Andre, and I only put together 2 pieces, but you're still more ahead than you were 2 pieces ago. So you're going. Keep going. Keep moving forward. Don't quit. Don't give up, because he does have it in store for you. But you must be willing to put it in pieces together. And then, like I said, if it comes down to the point where, you realize that this piece doesn't fit, this piece wasn't meant for this particular puzzle, then you got to remove it. I'm sure every step of the way of Joseph's story, he thought, okay, this must be it. And then it wasn't. Okay, this must be the answer to that particular puzzle section that I'm missing. And then it wasn't. But even though it wasn't, it still was a part of the story. It still was a part of the image. It just wasn't the top portion of it. It was more of the bottom. He had to put together the bottom first, climb out of the bottom first in order to build his way to the top. And so what in your life are you running away from or despising because it doesn't look like what you thought it would look like? Baby, let me tell you something. When God first spoke to me about Agents of Revival and this Christian community and building a body of believers that can have a safe space to heal and to grow. And when I say Christian, I don't mean that you identify necessarily as Christian, but that you believe in Jesus Christ. So you are a Christ followers. Maybe I'll say that you are a Christ follower, because I know that there are Messianic Jews out there. There may be some people who maybe you were believing in another religion, and then you decided, oh, you know what? I think I'm becoming awakened to the reality that Jesus is the real Messiah. And so welcome, first of all. But secondly, understand that there is no perfect instruction way to build this. Your life, your puzzle is going to look very different than my life and my puzzle. Now, at the end, it's the Lord that's going to put it all together, and it's going to make a beautiful tapestry in this time. But right now, it looks like it doesn't even fit, because I might be building a dog over here, and you're building a kitty cat over there, and it's like, how does that fit? And somebody else may be building an eagle, and somebody else may be building a house, and somebody else may be building a ladder, and somebody else may be building a tree. I mean, so the pictures may not look like they work right now while we're building our puzzles. But just as we're meant to be one body in Christ Jesus, it's going to all come together so beautifully. But you got to be willing to put together your pieces. And I understand that sometimes things come. The table shakes. Somebody knocks the table over, or somebody bumps into the table, or the dog may have ran around and bumped into the table. And so now your puzzle pieces that were once, for example, on the dining room table is now on the floor, or something dropped, or something fell, or something's missing. And what do I mean by that in terms of spiritually? I mean that maybe along the way of your life, somebody dropped the ball, somebody made a mistake, somebody hurt you, somebody rejected you, somebody betrayed you, somebody lied on you, somebody talked about you negatively, somebody mishandled you. That happens. Storms come. Absolutely. But as you will see in any country or any state or city where a storm comes or some sort of tragedy comes, they roll their sleeves up and they get back to building. They don't let it deter them from the ultimate goal. And you got to have that same grit, that same mindset that says, even though somebody came and knocked me out for a second, I don't mean physically, I mean like they took the wind, or how they put it, they took the rug from under you. And you trying to like get your bearings and trying to figure out what is going on, because I just feel like chaos is around me right now. That may be happening. But when the tornado stops spinning in your life, when the tsunami stops bringing up the water and the muck and guck in your life, then take a deep breath. Look around you and then get to work. But you start small. Rome wasn't built in a day. You start small, just as you would a jigsaw puzzle. Start with one piece. And you take that one piece, and then you work on that one piece, and you move it where it needs to be. When it comes spiritually, you take that one piece of your life that you can deal with right now, and you work on that, and you get better at that and stronger at that, and you heal from that area. And then when that's done, you check that box off, and then you find the next piece that you got to work on, and you put that together. And then the next piece, and on and on and on. And when you get to the end, which is not going to be in like a day or two, or even a month or several weeks, as we see with jigsaw puzzles, because again, this is a faith journey, and life is a marathon, not a sprint. So you got to pace yourself. But when you get to the end, you'll see the beautiful tapestry that or your puzzle box that God was creating out of your life, and you'll enjoy it. Because you did the work now. Whatever you sow now, you will reap. And so if you choose to listen to this message and decide to say, you know what, I'm not working on nothing, Andrea. I ain't trying to heal nothing. I don't want to better myself in that way. I just want to get that bag, get that money, and I'm good. Okay, you're going to reap what you sow. And you may think that, well, I'm going to reap a good, bountiful harvest of finances. But as I said before, okay, you'll get the money, but you won't have nobody else to share it with. You'll get the money and still won't be satisfied, because there's a aching, broken place in your heart that you are neglecting, and you've been neglecting it. It is not until you address it that it heals. People say time heals all wounds. It doesn't. Time just goes by. And this is how you see people that 50, 60, 70 years old, and they're bitter, they're nasty, they're mean. How you a mean grandma? How you a mean great grandma? Like, why are you so mean? And it's because there was something that happened at some point in time of their life. They never dealt with it. They suppressed it. They just toughed it out as they thought they were doing. But it manifested in other ways. And then there's a stench of bitterness that is brewing, that nobody wants to consume. Nobody want to taste that. Nobody want to smell that. And for some people, sadly, over 60 plus, they have been stuck in it for so long. They think it worked for them. And their attitude is, well, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Baby, you ain't no dog. Okay. You are a human being. And since you are a human being, then that means that you have the capacity to learn something new. God would not have allowed you to continue to be alive just for you to have the attitude, I'm just going to sit and rot away. No. Don't give up just because of your age. You still have more life to live. But the choice is yours. Whether you take it and do something with it or not. And everything don't have to be lavish and extravaganza if you don't have it. If you as they say, balling on a budget, that's okay. But there's still work to do. There are still pieces of the puzzle that you have not tapped into the Father yet to ask, what's missing here, God? Because this whole puzzle isn't done yet. Clearly, because you're still alive. You're not dead. And so since the puzzle isn't completed yet, then you need to go ask God, okay, God, what's missing? Where is there a need at? Is there somebody that is younger in my family or in my life or in my community or in my neighborhood, a young mother or a young father, somebody that I could be pouring into, somebody that I could be mentoring to, somebody I could be encouraging, somebody that I can maybe help out with some groceries or something. I mean, there's plenty of people who still need big brothers and big sisters. It doesn't matter how old you are nor how old they are. We all need one another. Don't look at them and feel like, oh, well, I guess they good without me. You never know. It's a reason why, for example, a lot of young mothers tend to turn to older mothers, or a lot of young fathers tend to turn to older men who are fathers to get that wisdom. You have something that the generation under you need, or the generations under you need. And I'm speaking specifically to 60 plus year olds, but even if you're under 60, there's still a generation that's under you that needs the wisdom that you have gained by living your life up to the point of the age that you are. And so even if you're 30 and you're like, okay, but what can I teach? You've learned something. There's no way you lived on this earth for 30 years and never went through not one thing. There's something that you went through. There's something that occurred in your life. There's something that you overcame. Even if it's like, I had a bad breakup. Okay, there's somebody who doesn't know how to survive breakups because this is their first relationship. And now that's their first heartache. So you can teach them what you know about, okay, listen, this is what I did to, kind of get out that relationship or whatever. And how I heal from that. I mean, there's something you can give, fellas. And there's also something you can give ladies. And I feel like I'm talking to the fellas as I see like a group of men right now that may be in the barbershop listening to this. Like, you have something to give more than just each other. There are people in your community that need you. There are young men out here, there are boys out here that do not have father figures. Whether it be because their fathers passed away or their fathers got incarcerated, or their fathers are just deadbeats and wanted to walk away and didn't want to be a man in their lives. Nobody's asking you to be a father, but you can be a masculine role in their life to teach them how to be a man. So find somebody that is in need. Find somebody young that you can pour into. If you don't have anybody that has children around you or know anybody that's young, not even in your family, then maybe try to volunteer at a school. As well as, I don't want to make this just to be like an old thing, because I used to work in nursing homes and I used to be a caregiver to elderly people. They need help as well. They need what you have as well. And so if your forte is not children, then maybe you can volunteer at a nursing home. They always are up for volunteers that want to spend time with the residents. Go to a senior community center. They are always willing to receive from the youth because they feel lonely. They feel like nobody cares about them. Go to an adult daycare. Yes, they do have them. I used to work at one, because they feel lonely and forgotten. And so you taking initiative to show care and kindness, to even sit with them for an hour, will make all the difference in the world. God doesn't give us all the answers. He doesn't give us every single detailed outline of how our lives should look or should go, but he does light the path. And if you want to take his hand, he will guide you so that you know how to put the pieces of your life together. And even the pieces that are broken. He's the ultimate craftsman, the ultimate carpenter, the ultimate potter, the ultimate maker, to take those broken pieces and mend them so they can still fit into the puzzle. Don't give up thinking that you've done it all or lived it all. There is still more life to live. So I got to get out of here, guys. May the Lord bless you and keep you, cause his face to shine upon you. May the Lord God be gracious to you, show you his favor, and give you shalom, give you his peace. Take care. Love you guys. Bye now.